Jalen, we have to start today by no place other than we're recording this about 72 hours after Survivor Series. I started today's Brandon's World on a Tuesday by talking about it. The absolute buzzing that I still have from when that music, known as the Cult of Personality, hit the All-State Arena in Chicago Saturday night. My friend at Survivor Series, CM Punk, as he said last night on Monday Night Raw, is home.
Now, I want to preface this by saying I sat down and I watched all 3 hours of Raw last night because Randy Orton, but let's not forget about this. Randy Orton's back too. So then you got that. But you know me, man. I'm a sucker for CM Punk. I am the biggest sucker for that man, regardless of his backstage drama, his antics. That man, I fell in love with wrestling because of Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, and John Cena. And seeing that man walk down a WWE ramp again, it almost brought me to tears. There was something so special. It was special when he was in AEW, just for the fact that he was in a ring, but the fact that he took a picture with Paul Triple H Levesque with the biggest smile on his face. Oh man, it just made me feel like what a time this is. And man, I'm still buzzing. He's the best in the world.
So when 2023 began, who would have thought that one, WWE would have been sold? Two, Randy Orton is back after being told he probably should never wrestle again. CM Punk is back in a WWE ring. Edge, Adam Copeland, is in an AEW ring. I mean, what kind of year has 2023 been for professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call
it? If you would have asked me, my 8-year-old self, or when did he leave? 2014. So my 9-year-old, like the beginning of 2014 is when he exited. So I was probably 9 years old at that point. If you would have told me, man, in the year 2023, when you turn 18 years old, your favorite wrestler is going to walk back through that curtain, I would have said, you're nuts. I probably would have said you're nuts if someone said, hey, there's going to be another company that is going to rival this company, and I'm going to be able to sit here and talk about Edge competing for another company, let alone competing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, I know. When he retired in 2011, I never thought he would step back for that curtain again. So what you felt like last night was what I felt like at the Royal Rumble 2020. You mentioned that 2014 when he walked out of WWE. I want to take you back to that night because I remember that night specifically. And I don't know if you remember why. Because the night that he left WWE, he was actually located about 20 minutes from where I live right now in downtown Cleveland, Ohio.
I do remember this. I witnessed his last Royal Rumble. It was in Pennsylvania that year. Do you remember this?
I remember.
For Christmas, I was fortunate enough. My parents were fortunate enough. Love you guys, by the way. They'll listen to this segment because let me just go off track here. My dad is the biggest mark for professional wrestling, and he will never admit it. But he's awesome. A mark, and that's my guy. But me and him were lucky enough to sit in Pittsburgh that night. We were in Pittsburgh, and of course you knew the stipulation. Punk had to come out at 1 and fight the gauntlet, but then you had Corporate Kane and those ugly slacks choke slam him through a table, and that was the last we saw him on television. That was it. That was crazy. That was to me, like, obviously at that point in my life, like, scripted kayfabe was still a thing to me. So to me, I just thought he's gonna come out on Monday, and then he just never showed up. And since then on, like, TLC was in Cleveland the next year, and I was hoping just maybe. I wore my CM Punk shirt. I was like, just maybe. And he just never showed up. And then I got older and I realized what backstage politics were. And it kind of broke my heart, honestly. To see him leave the way he did, I didn't appreciate it. And I'm just glad to have him back in the wrestling ring.
Man, me and my dad were there in 2014 that night in Cleveland when he walked out a half an hour before the show, and nobody knew that night that he had walked out. If you remember, Alberto Del Rio that night wrestled Kofi Kingston.
Right. That's
it was
right.
it was only supposed to be like a 15-minute match. It ended up being like a 25-minute match. And we're all like, why is this match going on for so long? And it ended up being that they just, made him go longer because that was going to be Punk's spot. And ironically, Punk quit WWE because he did not want to fight Triple H at WrestleMania, and the man that brings him back completely in the fold, Paul Triple H Levesque. Hey, you can't make this stuff up.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, my friend. It's the whole wrestling world is just one big, beautiful, bruising storyline that I am deeply investing in. Something feels so right about seeing Punk back in the WWE. It feels better. He looks younger when he walks through that
He
curtain.
does. And as I texted you, I believe it was Saturday night, there's something about CM Punk being in WWE that's so right. And there's something about Edge being in AEW to me that just feels so wrong. It's like we're on the complete opposites of the spectrum of our two favorite wrestlers of all time.
See, I don't think this is a bad thing for Edge. I like what Edge is doing. I think this is fun. I know the AEW's getting a lot of flack lately, and Tony Khan's a mark, as MJF would say. And man, I love MJF, but that's for another.
Man, I love MJF too. Unfortunately, the bidding war of 2024 is over because he re-signed with AEW a year ago, and no one wants to talk about it. But no, I mean, I gotta say, like, I know we're switching gears a little bit here, but I know Edge is gonna face Christian on Dynamite, or Adam Copeland's gonna face Christian Cage, however you want to say it, Dynamite, couple weeks in Montreal. But I don't know. It just kind of feels like they're giving away such a big money match on television. Like it already feels like the feud's been drawn out. Like I didn't like the idea of the 6-man trio at Full Gear. Like I'm just not digging it, man.
I see, the way I look at it is it's not for storyline. AEW is never going to be for storylines, and that's what might kill them in the long term. But if you want a good free match on television, they'll give it to you every week. Every week I'm sitting there and my jaw's dropping, which I'm not saying I don't do for WWE, but I do it for different reasons when I tune in. I'm not doing it because I get to watch Roman Reigns wrestle on free television. I'm doing it because CM Punk came back or Jey Uso said yeet again. I'm invested.
Who would have thought that's the most over thing in the company right now outside of Punk?
It's two words. It's yeah and yeet. Two phrases are the most over in the company right now, and that just shows like how not stupid, but how creatively simple that you have to be to get over. Like look at this is off topic, but yes.
Yeah.
It was one word. It's one word that little kids can say, that babies can say, that adults can say, that elder people can say. Everybody says it. Like that's what you need, and I feel like right now AEW kind of doesn't have that.
Yeah, I
I
think it's two different sides. You know me. I've said my feelings, and again, I know you like AEW. My partner over at Championship Reigns is a big fan of all elite wrestling. I do think that at this point it's two different styles, and I understand why people like the the AEW style. I can see it. My biggest criticism of them, and it's one that you see, well, I really have two. One of them is that Tony Khan is literally Vince-esque. He is a child. He's basically Vince McMahon who acts like a child. And then number two is because, as you talked about, they're giving you all these free matches and dream matches on television with no story. They, in my opinion, do not do a good job at taking a casual viewer like myself that may tune in, once a week, once a month, whatever it may be, and get you up to speed on the product or give you a reason to tune back in.
I agree to a certain extent. Like, I feel like AEW is for the diehards. Like, you can't just not watch 1 week. You have to continuously. But so many guys, I think it's also due to the fact that I've seen a lot of these guys perform independently. Like, I've seen Sammy perform independently. I've seen Darby Allin independent stuff, and I've seen MJF. There's actually a promo on my buddy who owns a wrestling company. I mentioned him before. There's a promo that MJF is cutting, like a young, 20-year-old, 19-year-old MJF, and just seeing these guys prosper from the gyms to the not the biggest stage, but a bigger stage. It just I like it, and I appreciate the grind that they put in to make it here. So maybe that's
Taylor. So CM Punk is back. Randy Orton, as you mentioned, is also back. The man that hears voices in his head right now is feuding with the Judgment Day and Dominic Mysterio. My question, though, is not necessarily for their feuds right now. We know we have a huge WrestleMania coming up in about 4 months from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. How are we booking first your guy, CM Punk, and then also Randy Orton? Is he going to be a face? Do you turn him heel? What do we do with Randy and Punk?
Okay, so Punk needs a face run, one last face run, and then I wanted to be the most evil, cocky 2012, kicking Jerry Lawler in the face, getting on the. Remember when he sat on the commentary desk, crisscross applesauce, and said, "This is not a popularity contest. This is the WWE." And I
do remember that.
I want that, Punk, and but you can't have two evils. So I can either have evil statistic Randy, or I can have evil Punk. And right now I'm itching for some Randy first. So turn Randy heel ASAP and give me that 2009 bald head Randy, the psychopath. Give me that Randy. Since Riddle's obviously gone, which we all saw that coming. The dude can't stay off the weed.
All we need is Riddle to come back and we can get an RK Pro reunion.
Oh, I would mark for that so hard. You have no clue. We got an R-Truth return. Why can't we get a Riddle return? Come on now.
As Triple H has squidly put in the press conference on Saturday Night after Survivor Series, the biggest return at Survivor Series was R-Truth.
Yeah. My 8-year-old self loves it. Loves me some Little Jimmy, some R-Truth comedy. It's good. It's good stuff. But back to the question at hand, man. You got to put him with Rollins, right? Because right now that's the most realistic storyline you're going to get. There's real hate there. Rollins obviously has spoken at interviews at 2K, said, keep Phil away from me, keep Phil out of the company. And Punk has said in the past, when you name drop someone, their actual name, like when he said, this is Phil Brooks talking to Paul Levesque, it adds some of that realism to the story. So right now you have the realest story in professional wrestling. And I don't care if they don't say wrestler anymore. These are the two of the best wrestlers on the planet right now. And you could say Punk's old and slow. Well, yeah, he's 40 years old, but this man can still put on a match and give you a show. So I think you go Rollins and Punk for the world title. Night one, obviously. So that's your closer night 1. You put Randy night 2, like somewhere in the middle. You don't put him main event. You might put him maybe like in the middle somewhere, like before the main event. Put him there. I can see that because obviously we know the main event: Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. That's pretty much spelled out, or The Rock. But if I'm booking, I'm putting Randy, because you put Randy night 2 instead of night 1 because there's going to be a lot of casuals who are just here for Punk and Randy.
Yep.
So you got to have them invested in both nights. You can't just throw them all into one night.
I completely concur with that. I'm going to push back a little bit, though, on you wanting Randy to turn heel. I can see where you're coming from, but I got to say this. Before he turns heel, Randy was so over. He may have been the most over as a face Randy's ever been prior to the injury, and some of that had to do with Riddle, but I got to tell you, the pops Randy was getting along was astronomical. I need Randy Orton versus the Tribal Chief. Probably not going to have it at WrestleMania, but is it a Royal Rumble match? I think absolutely.
Yeah, I can see that. If they're doing that, then keep him face. But man, do I miss me some evil Randy? I you could say when I was younger, I hated this man so much. But now, the older I get, I guess the grumpier I get. I miss me some evil Randy.
All right, so last wrestling question for you. You kind of alluded to it before. Okay, we know we have 2 options on the table for the Tribal Chief. The head of the table, our undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40. One being Cody Rhodes. The other obviously being The Rock if he's available. We know the writer's strike and the actor's strike are over by now. We have no idea what The Rock's status is going to be for WrestleMania. Everybody wants Cody to finish the story. I know you do as well. But I'm sorry. If The Rock is available, this is the year. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, one of the hottest wrestling towns in all of the sport, as Gunther would say. I think this is the year you pull the trigger. Roman, Rock, SummerSlam, you do Roman, Punk, and then WrestleMania 41, Roman, Cody, numero dos.
Can I backtrack for a second? It's in Philly, right? So you know how over Paulie is going to be? Not Paul Heyman, no. To that Philly crowd, he's Paulie Dangerously, the owner of ECW, the diehards. This crowd, if they anything with Roman Reigns, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Cody. I don't care if it's Rock. I don't care if it's Punk. I don't care if it's Hornswoggle. They are going to eat whoever is on the opposite side of that ring alive. And I know this because it's Philadelphia, and they are the most evil fans in the world. Brandon, I'm sorry, but I'm calling your Philly fans out. They booed Santa Claus, okay? What? Who boos Santa anyway? You put Paulie on the side of the ring, and I'm gonna refer to him as Paulie because that's what Philly knows him as, and you're gonna get a rocking crowd. So no matter what, it'll draw. It'll be great money. I won't be mad just as long as Cody gets the belt eventually. I just want the story to be finished. So then we can get another drunk press conference. No, we can get another drunk press conference with Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. Yay.
All right.
That was the greatest promo. Hold on. That was the greatest promo. Greatest interview we've ever had. I'm just throwing it out there.
Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.